Alright guys, so now we're going to get into the effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this synths group. I'm going to make a new audio track and I'm going to label this Impact 1. And let's go ahead and I'm going to right click and I'm going to make this color, this little greenish down here. And then I'm going to hit Command G to group and then rename that effects. So now we have everything colored, we have everything grouped. I'm actually going to go ahead and just delete these extra tracks there. Alright, so now we have our effects. The first effect that I'm going to add is the impact, and we're going to go and select this impact 29. So we should be hearing this now. So let's listen to this impact alone. And let's go ahead and we're going to unwarp this. It sounds like there's some warping going on, and that's because our project is at 150, and this looks like it's being warped at 196. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And it definitely sounds much cleaner, especially around this tail part. So let's go back and listen to it. And pay attention to after this impact originally hits. Listen to this tail. You can hear it being kind of stretched. Let's unwarp it. Definitely sounds much cleaner unwarped, so we're going to leave it unwarped. So that is going to be our first sound right there. And while we're here, let's go ahead and where this has master, we're going to select sidechain. And right now it's not changing anything, but once we add those drums, we're going to be sidechaining to the kick and the snare, and then it's going to make a huge difference in our sound. So we have the first impact. Alright, so let's go ahead. We're going to make another audio track, and we're going to call this Impact 2. And we're going to go back to our browser and take Impact 49. And we're just going to drag it anywhere right now because we're going to unwarp this. And this has a little sweep into the impact, so we're going to have to line this up. So it actually looks like it was exported very well and right on the grid. So that is actually perfect. So we're going to actually have this hit at the 5th bar. Alright, so let's listen to it back. So this is our impact. It's got a very nice delay and it's pretty subby, so it sounds really good. We're going to make another track and we're going to call this Impact 3. And we're going to take this Impact 16 and we're going to have this hit right at the 9th bar. So we're also going to turn off the warp and we're going to have to line this up because this has another sweep into it. So that looks good right there. So let's listen to this. That sounds really dope. And this has some tonal qualities to it. So let's listen back to the track and we're going to see if we need to tune this at all. So we definitely are going to need to because it is not in the same key as the rest of the song. So let's listen back and we'll see how jarring this is. So it's definitely not in the same key. So let's bump it up. Let's try that. I'm not sure if that's exactly the right pitch, but let's go ahead and reline that up. That sounds much better. So it sounds in tune with the song, and it's not nearly as jarring as that out of key impact that we originally had. So that is it for Impact 3. I'm gonna go ahead and close all these. And let's make another track, and we're gonna call this Ambience 1. And let's go back to our browser and type in Ambience, and we're gonna select Ambience 26E. And we're just gonna play this back. Alright, so we're going to have to tune this as well. So let's turn off the warp. All right, so all we're going to do is we're just going to bump this up a semitone so it's in key. And let's listen to this back. And now when I'm listening back, this isn't in the exact key that I want. While it still sounds good, it is like a fourth below what I want. So I'm going to go, let's start back from the beginning, and we'll line this back up. I'm actually just going to drop this a semitone. And that sounds better. That's the root note. So the original note I had was not the root note. And while it was still in key with the song, it wasn't the root note. So now we're at the root note. So some of our effects are in tune. And this is a really important process, just in songwriting in general, because it's important to make sure that everything is in key. Because if it's not, it will sound jarring and it'll take you out of the mood. These are the effects, and they're not supposed to steal the show or be the center of attention. They're just supposed to add like an ambience and feel to the song and make the song sound full. So that's what we're doing, and making sure that these tonal samples are in key is huge. So let's go ahead. I'm actually going to EQ this ambience a little bit. So we're going to boost these lows because we don't have a lot of bass in our synths. So this ambience is going to provide like a little rumble. So I'm going to make a pretty big boost right here. And then I'm also going to make a cut at just roll off around 40. And then we're going to make another boost right around 8 to 9K. So this high boost especially is just really making this ambience come to life. And I'm just going to drop the ambience down 6 decibels just because I don't want it to be too loud. All right, and that's where we're going to stop for the ambience. So let's go ahead and we're going to make a MIDI track this time. And we're going to open up Serum. And we're going to take this effect called Wub Wub. And this is, let's get the MIDI for it first so you can hear exactly where it is. All right, so let's listen to this. Very, very cool effect. So this is going to happen right on the 1. And that just really like takes you into the song, you know? So let's go ahead and we're going to rename this Wub Wub. And we're going to go ahead and start processing this. So basically this effect, let's see what's going on inside before we start processing this. So we have 2 wavetables that are contributing to this, and we have LFO1, which is modulating the mix of the filter, the level, and the level of oscillator B is down because oscillator A is using FM from B. So let's solo this. And what's happening is, let's go into the matrix. It looks like LFO2 is modulating the pitch down. So it's and it is also modulating this EQ. So it's almost filtering out the sound as it goes. So let's turn this EQ off and you can hear the pitch go down. So very cool right there. LFO3 is controlling LFO1's rate, so you can see this is getting slower. So over a 4-bar period, this slope right here is making the rate of LFO1 slow down, and that is why you're getting that gradually decreasing speed. Okay, so now it's time to process. So inside in the effects, we have a high pass filter, which is being controlled by LFO1. We have the multiband compression. We have some delay and reverb and that EQ that's almost filtering it out. So outside, we are going to add OTT, and we're going to take the depth down to 32, just because we don't want a huge amount of this. And then we are going to add an EQ8, and we're going to low cut because we don't want a lot of this rumble. So without it, you can hear a lot of that sub just like, you know, coming in and out, and that's not the sound that we want to have shine. So we're going to just cut that out. We don't need it. Next, we are going to add the TLA Reverb 4. And this reverb plugin is also for free. So we're going to take the wet up, and we're going to leave everything else how it is. So it's just a really simple, awesome reverb. And then after that, we are going to open EQ8. And we're just going to low cut again just to make sure that this reverb hasn't added any lows. And then we're just going to add a compressor at the end and just leave it like that. Just so if it goes above the threshold, we're going to reduce the gain. All right, so that's good right there. So let's listen back. All right, that sounded good. So let's move on. So that is all we're going to have for intro 1.1. And now we only have some uplifters that we're going to add to 1.2. So let's go here, and I'm going to make a new audio track. We're going to call this White Noise 1. We're going to drag this Ultimate Reverse 27, and we're going to drop it right there, just so it is in between the 13 and 17. And let's listen to that. Alright, so that is like a tonal sweep, not a white noise sweep, but it is in F, which is the key of our song, so we don't have to tune it at all, and it sounds really good. Alright, now let's make another track, and this is going to be White Noise 2. And we're going to type in downlifter 21, because this is a downlifter, but we are just going to reverse it. So I'm going to drop it in right there in between 9 and 17, double click, and hit reverse. So now let's listen to this. So that's exactly what we want. Alright, now let's make a new track, and we're going to call this Downlifter 2. And we're just going to call this Downlifter 1, just to keep everything sort of uniform. And let's drag this down to the downlifters. Alright, so Downlifter 2 is going to be this white noise downlifter. And now we're moving on to intro 1.3. And these downlifters just add like a nice transition, and it progresses the song along and really fills in the space. So it's really important to have things like this, but it's important to know how to do them tastefully. So that is what we're doing here, is we're adding this downlifter, and we're going to add another downlifter, downlifter 3, and we're going to take this downlifter 9. And so this first downlifter is a white noise downlifter. It's just pure white noise. And there's some reverb there, but it's white noise. And this is something a little bit more tonal. It seems that there's some like flanger, and just, it's definitely a little bit more than white noise. So we're going to add that on top just to give it a little flair. So that really just adds to the space of the song. And the last thing we're going to add is we are going to add this background siren. We're going to go ahead and open up Serum, and we're going to load this background sweep. And let's get the MIDI so we can hear exactly where it is. This is going to be right at intro 1.3, and I'm going to delete in between so it doesn't get confusing. And let's listen to what we got. So this is a very, very background sort of sound, and I really like doing this in a lot of my songs, and it kind of like hypes up the song. Like it's like a big siren. You know, when you hear a siren, you think that, you know, there's something wrong. It's almost like exciting and like anxious at the same time, and it just gives a little bit of suspense. And that's exactly what this is doing here. It's not only filling in the background and adding sort of a tonal quality to this part of the song, but it's also just giving you like an additional sense of like excitement or suspense. And what this is just some detuned waves. This is the 4088 wave, which is like the first wave you can open up in Serum. And then this is the basic shape saw. And we just have this LFO1, which is modulating the coarse pitch of A and B. And you can pretty much just set the amount with how high this point goes in the triangle. And this is over the stretch of 2 bars. And there's no plugins or effects on it because this is just, you know, very background and basic. So all we're going to do to process this is low cut this to make sure all the lows are out. And we're just going to put a small limiter on it. All right, so let's listen to this back. All right, and that is it for the intro effects. So the next thing we're going to do is the intro drums, and this is where the sidechain is going to come into play, and this is where this intro 1.3 is going to just become monstrous.